The glass fell from Mr. Adrian Cole's hand and smashed on the shiny floor. Clear juice ran in a river across the white marble, straight to the toes of the small girl standing by the staircase. Her name was Lila. She was 9. She was holding a golden photo frame with both hands like it might float away if she let go. Inside the frame was a smiling woman in a blue dress. Lila's mother. Lila's voice shook. Sir, why is my mom's photo in your mansion? The room went so quiet that even the big crystal chandelier sounded loud, clicking softly as it turned in the air. A guard near the door touched his earpiece. Someone upstairs moved a curtain. Mr. Adrian Cole, a billionaire people only saw on TV, stared at Lila like he'd seen a ghost. His lips moved but no words came out. Another step, another whisper from the guard. Do we remove the kid, sir? Adrian lifted one hand. No. He took one careful step toward Lila, then another. His eyes were wet and bright. What did you say your mother's name is? Lila swallowed. Sophia. Adrian's face changed like a storm crossing the sky. He reached for the frame. And then, a hidden door in the wall beside the staircase clicked and swung open, like the house itself had been listening. Inside the dark space, a red light blinked. Lila gasped. Before we go on, smash the like button, subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from in the comments. That morning, the sun over Harbor Heights was mean and hot. Lila's sandals slapped the road as she walked past tall gates and tall hedges and tall houses that looked like castles. Her plastic bag cut into her fingers. It was heavy with oranges that she and Mama had washed in their little kitchen sink. The fruit smelled bright and sweet, like sunshine trapped in circles. Only until we buy your medicine, Lila had promised. I'll sell them all, Mama. I promise. Mama Sophia had smiled a tired smile and squeezed Lila's hand. Her cough was deep and scratchy. The doctor said the medicine would help, but it cost too much. Lila knew the number by heart. She said it in her head the way some kids said poems. $35. Like a mountain. Like a wall. So Lila walked. She tried one gate. Good morning, oranges? A maid shook her head and closed the small window. Another gate. Fresh oranges? A man waved her away without looking. Another. Another. Lila kept going. She imagined Mama's cough getting smaller. She imagined a real breakfast tomorrow with eggs and toast and mango jam like they had once, long ago. She imagined a world where the number 35 wasn't scary anymore. Then she saw the tallest gate on the whole street. It was silver and smooth and had a tiny black button set into the wall, like a secret dot. Behind the bars stood a mansion with windows like shining eyes. The garden looked like a picture. White roses, purple flowers, and a water fountain shaped like a shell. But no laughter, no music, no barking dogs. Just neat, careful quiet. Lila wiped her forehead with the back of her wrist. One more try, she whispered. For Mama. She pressed the black button. There was a buzz and then a crackly voice. Who is it? Lila stood straight and tried to sound brave. Good morning, sir. I'm Lila. I'm selling oranges. They're very sweet. 10 for $3. Or 5 for 2. Silence. She counted to 10 in her head. She almost said sorry to the gate and turned away. Then, wait. The gate hummed. The lock clicked. The silver bars slid open just enough for a person to squeeze through. Lila's heart did 3 flips. Come to the door, the voice said. Lila stepped in holding the bag with both hands. The path was stone and soft under her old sandals. When she reached the big front door, it opened like a mouth, slow and careful, and Mr. Adrian Cole stood there in a white shirt with sleeves folded to his elbows. He was tall and looked like the pictures on the news but more tired. His hair had small flashes of silver. His eyes looked like they carried heavy stories. He looked at Lila. She looked at his shiny watch. She had never seen a watch like that. How many oranges? He asked. 20, Lila said. They're the best. Mama picked them with me. Your mother picked them? He looked at the bag, then at her thin wrists. When did you last eat? Lila opened her mouth to say, this morning, but her stomach made a loud, rude sound. Her face got hot. She looked at her toes. Adrian's eyebrows bent in the middle. Come in, he said softly. You can stand near the door if you want. I'll bring you water and a sandwich. I'll buy all your oranges too. Lila's chest filled with bright bubbles. She thought of 35 turning into 0 like magic. She thought of medicine. She thought of Mama smiling a true smile again. It's okay, Adrian added. You're safe. The air inside the mansion was cool, like the inside of a big shell at the beach. The floor looked like ice but wasn't slippery. The lights on the high ceiling sparkled. There were long tables with bowls that were just bowls and not for anything at all. Everything smelled like lemon and something else that was too clean to have a name. Lila stayed close to the door. Her sandals made small squeaks. She whispered to herself, "Don't touch. Don't bump. Don't break." She put her bag down, careful, and flexed her sore fingers. Adrian pointed to a soft bench. "Wait right here." He went away through a wide doorway. A guard in a dark suit stood by the entrance, eyes like a camera. He didn't smile, but he didn't frown either. Lila tried to give him a tiny wave. He nodded once like a dot on a page. Lila pressed her palms on her skirt to smooth it. She tried to count the tiny sparkling pieces in the chandelier, but there were too many. Her eyes wandered, catching small things that told big stories. A little dent in a table corner, a scratch on a door hinge, a flower petal on the floor that someone missed when cleaning. This perfect place wasn't a picture. It was a place where people moved and touched and forgot sometimes. That made Lila feel braver. Then she saw the golden frame on the small table by the staircase. It was like the sun had sat down there to rest. Lila took one step. Then another. The guard watched her but didn't stop her. She reached the table and leaned in. The woman in the photo had long, dark hair and a laugh in her eyes. She wore a blue dress that made her look like the sky before night. Her smile stretched wide like the person holding the camera had said something very silly. The picture had tiny scratches like old memories sometimes have. Lila's breath left her. Her heart thumped. "Mama?" she whispered. It was Mama Sophia, but younger, brighter, and healthy. No cough. No tired gray under her eyes. Lila had never seen this picture before. She had never seen Mama look like this, like the world was a big joke and she loved the punchline. Lila's hands lifted on their own. Her fingers touched the smooth edge of the frame. She held it up. The room felt like it tipped. Why was her mother's picture sitting in this giant, quiet house? Adrian came back with a tray. A tall glass of juice. A plate with a sandwich cut into a triangle and a cookie beside it. He was walking fast like he wanted to hurry, like something important had woken up inside him. He set the tray down. And saw the frame in Lila's hands. That was when the glass fell. That was when he forgot to breathe. That was when Lila asked the question that made the air heavy. "Why is my mom's photo in your mansion?" The guard whispered into his earpiece. The house made a quiet humming sound as if it were listening hard. Lila's legs wanted to run, but her hands wouldn't let go of the picture. Her mouth felt dry. She thought of Mama coughing. She thought of the number 35 marching in her head. Adrian's eyes filled with water. Lila had seen grown-ups cry before, but never a man in a shirt that crisp. Not a man in a house this big. He took one step. Another. He stopped a short distance away and his voice came out soft and careful, like someone trying to lift a sleeping baby. "What is your mother's full name?" "Sofia Rivera," Lila said, and the words felt like keys in a lock. "She's sick. I'm selling oranges for her medicine." Adrian blinked fast and put one hand on the staircase rail like he needed help standing. He looked at Lila's face like it was a puzzle he already knew the answer to but couldn't say yet. "Have you eaten?" he asked again, but the question didn't sound like food. It sounded like care. "I can eat after I sell," Lila said. "We need—" She stopped. Her throat closed. Saying the number out loud felt like handing someone her worry. "We need to pay for her medicine today." Adrian nodded once like a promise. "You will." He turned to the guard. "Mason water. And get Miss Hale on the line." The guard touched his earpiece. "Yes, sir." The house hummed again. Lila put the frame back exactly where it had been. She wiped her fingerprints away with her sleeve, gentle as a breeze, like touching a sleeping cat. She stood very still. The lemonade smell of the room mixed with the orange smell of her bag and the sweet smell of the cookie. The three smells made a new smell that felt like hope or maybe like something waking up after a long nap. Adrian pushed the tray toward her. "Drink," he said, but not like a boss. More like Mr. Daniels at school when he reminded the kids to wear their hats at recess. Lila sipped the juice. It was cold and tasted like pears in a day with no worries. Her shoulders loosened. She took a tiny bite of the sandwich. The bread was soft, the cheese creamy, the tomato bright. She had to close her eyes for a second. Food, when you're hungry, feels like a hug from the inside. When she opened her eyes, Adrian had moved closer to the small table. He wasn't looking at Lila now. He was looking at the picture. His finger touched the frame like it was a thing that could break his heart if he wasn't careful. "Where is your mother, Lila?" he asked, eyes still on the smiling woman in blue. "At home," Lila said. "In our building. 4th floor, number 12. Adrian took a slow breath. He was going to ask something else. Lila saw the question forming on his face. When the hidden door beside the stairs clicked and opened all by itself, a thin dark line growing into a tall shadow. Lila jumped. The guard stiffened. Adrian turned. The door was narrow and honest-to-goodness secret, the kind of door kids in storybooks find when they press the right stone. A faint red light blinked inside, blink, 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 steady like a heartbeat. What is that? Lila asked, forgetting to be shy. Adrian's jaw tensed. The archive. Like books. Like memories. Mason the guard stepped toward the opening. Do you want me to shut it, sir? Adrian lifted his hand, but it shook. No. Leave it. He looked at Lila. Come here. His voice was different now, not loud, not scary, just heavy with something she didn't have a name for yet. Lo. Lila walked to the doorway with small steps. The hall inside was cool and smelled like paper and cedar. There were shelves, not with books, but with rows of photo albums and boxes labeled in neat, careful writing. A little silver camera sat on a stand. A computer screen glowed with a menu. Family, friends, events, private. Under the word private was another word glowing red, locked. The blinking red light came from a tiny sensor at the top of the doorframe. Lila could see her own reflection in it, small and wavy, like seeing yourself in a spoon. Adrian reached past her and tapped a keypad. The screen changed. It showed a list of names. Lila's heart jiggled like jelly when she saw the first one. Adrian's breath caught. He tapped again. The screen opened a folder with little squares, photos, all of them of the same woman in the blue dress, her hair flying in some, her eyes closed and laughing in others. In one photo she stood under a tree full of tiny lights. In another she held a paper cup of hot chocolate and blew on the steam. In another she reached toward the camera with a hand that wore a thin silver ring. The ring looked like one Lila had seen in a drawer at home, kept in a sock, kept under a shirt, kept like a secret. Why do you have these? Lila whispered. Her voice sounded very small in the quiet space. Adrian didn't answer right away. He touched one picture with his finger but didn't click. His hand fell to his side. He turned to Lila slowly, as if turning too fast might make the moment crack. I knew your mother, he said. A long time ago. Knew, like friends? He nodded once. His eyes were red at the edges, like he hadn't slept. He tried to smile. It came out crooked and sad. Something like that. Lila felt a swirl in her belly. It wasn't hunger. It was the feeling you get when you're at the top of a tall slide and not sure how fast the bottom will come. So many questions rushed to her head that they got stuck in the doorway of her mouth. Did Mama live here? Why didn't Mama tell her? What was the secret? Was the ring in their drawer from here? She hugged her elbows with her hands. Mama doesn't like to talk about before, Lila said. When I ask about my dad, she looks out the window. She says, some stories are too heavy for little arms. Adrian closed his eyes for a heartbeat. When he opened them, the blue inside looked like rain. Some stories, he said softly, are too heavy even for big arms. The house hummed again. Mason's radio crackled with someone asking about the open archive door. He stepped back to answer in a whisper. Lila glanced at the tray on the table. The cookie waited there like a little moon. She didn't feel like eating now. Food had changed into questions. Adrian looked at the pictures one more time, then tapped the screen and closed the folder. The red locked word came back. The hidden door stayed open, blinking its little sensor eye, like it wanted to see what would happen next. Adrian's voice was careful. Lila, would you do something for me? What? He glanced at Mason, then back to Lila. Can you call your mother and tell her you're safe? Tell her I would like to speak with her. Lila's mouth made an "oh, you know my mom," she said again, more like a fact now than a question. Adrian didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He looked toward the photo on the table in the hall outside the archive, and his shoulders dropped like he had been holding a heavy bag for a very long time and just put it down. I have been trying to find her, he said. For how long? Adrian swallowed. Years. The word felt big in Lila's ears. Years was older than she was at school. Years meant birthdays, rains, and dry seasons. Years meant a lot of lonely days. Lila felt something else open inside her, a door like the secret one but in her chest. We don't have a phone, she said. But there's a pay phone at the corner shop. I can go there. Adrian shook his head quickly. You don't need to go anywhere. Mason can drive you. But, before that, he reached into his pocket and pulled out something flat and black. He pressed his thumb to it. It beeped. He held it out to her. A phone. Brand new. You can call from here. Lila stared at it. No wires. No coins. No tiny crack in the screen like Mama's old one that had broken and never got fixed. This one looked like it slept on clouds at night. I don't know the number, Lila admitted, cheeks hot again. I know the house number and how many steps to our floor and the smell of our hallway. But not the phone number. Adrian nodded like he understood all the ways poor life worked, even if he didn't live it. Mason, send a car to 4th floor, number 12, building Oakview. Bring Miss Sophia here. Gentle. No rush. Ask if she wants to come. Mason spoke quietly into his radio, then looked at Lila. We'll do it right, kid. Lila touched the side of the new phone very lightly with one finger, the way you touch a baby's hand the first time. Mama will be scared, she said. She tells me not to go into strange houses. She was right, Adrian said. I'm sorry I asked you in. I shouldn't have. But I couldn't leave you at the gate in this heat without water. And then I saw, he couldn't finish. He rubbed his eyes with the back of his hand like a boy trying not to cry at the park. Lila wanted to say it was okay. She wanted to say thank you for the juice and the sandwich and for buying the oranges and for something she didn't have a word for yet. But her tongue couldn't find the right cupboard in her mouth. She heard wheels on tile behind her. A small, quiet woman in a gray suit appeared with a first aid box and a kind face. Mr. Cole? You asked for Miss Hale. Thank you, Miss Hale, Adrian said. He pointed to Lila's hands. Please check those marks from the bag. And send a text to Dr. Nwosu. Ask if he can be on call later today. For the child? For Sophia, Adrian said, and the name was aflame on his tongue. Miss Hale nodded. She stepped to Lila and opened the little white box. Can I see your fingers? She asked kindly. They're okay, Lila said, but she let Miss Hale wrap soft gauze around the sore places anyway. The bandage felt like a tiny sweater just for her skin. Miss Hale stuck a small smiley face sticker on the back of Lila's hand when she was done. It made Lila giggle even though the air still felt tight. Thank you, Lila whispered. Miss Hale squeezed her shoulder and left as quietly as she came. A black car glided to the front steps. Mason spoke into his radio again and then to Lila. We'll bring your mother with respect. If she says no, we'll listen. Will you tell her I'm safe? Lila asked. First thing I'll say, Mason promised. He went out through the heavy door. The silver gate opened and closed like a blink and the car slid away. Lila stood with Adrian in the big, bright hall. The mansion didn't feel empty anymore. It felt like a page where someone had just started to write. Do you know my father? Lila asked suddenly. The question jumped out like a frog, fast and surprised. Adrian's hand found the staircase rail again. He didn't sit. He didn't pace. He just stood, almost like a statue, except statues don't breathe, and Lila could see his chest moving, up, down, up, down. I don't know, he said, and the words shook. But I think I might understand something important. I need to hear it from your mother. Is it about the ring? Lila asked before she could stop herself. The silver ring in the drawer? Adrian's head turned so fast the light made a tiny flash on his collar button. What ring? The one Mama keeps, Lila said, and then she pressed her lips together because telling secrets without permission is like spilling sugar. You can't pick all of it up again. I mean, just a ring. It looks like the one in that picture. Adrian's throat moved like it was hard to swallow. He looked at the photo again, the one where the woman in blue reached toward the camera with that thin silver circle on her hand. His voice turned into a whisper. She kept it. Lila heard the fountain in the garden for the first time, soft and steady, water doing what water does even when people forget. A breeze slipped through the tiny spaces around the tall windows and touched her cheek like a cool hand. The house seemed to wait with them. She thought about Mama in their small apartment, about the wobbly table and the one good pan and the plant in the corner that always tried so hard to live. She imagined Mama hearing the doorbell and seeing men in suits and a car like a shark. Would she be scared? Would she come? Would she cough because she was nervous? Lila chewed the inside of her cheek. She wished she could run ahead and tell Mama herself that it was okay, that the man in the white shirt looked sad in a way that didn't feel dangerous. The front door camera buzzed. Mason's voice came through the speaker. Sir, we're at Oakview. Miss Sophia is here. She wants to speak to the child first, please. Adrian looked at Lila. Ready? Lila nodded fast. Adrian pressed a button. A small screen popped out of the wall near the hidden door. Lila didn't even know walls could do that. On the screen, Mama's face appeared, a little fuzzy, like a drawing done with a soft pencil. Her hair was wrapped in a scarf with tiny white flowers. Her eyes were big and shining. Lila? Mama said. Are you okay? I'm okay. Lila said, her voice hopping like it was on a trampoline. I drank juice and ate a sandwich and, Mama, listen, your picture is here. Mama's mouth opened. No sound came out. She blinked like she didn't understand the words. In a frame, Lila went on. You in the blue dress. And there are other pictures in a secret room. Mama, he knew your name. Adrian stepped back so his face wouldn't show on the screen. He looked at the floor like standing up straight was hard work. Mama swallowed. Where are you, Lila? In a house, Lila said, then remembered the promise she made to always tell Mama the true kind of truth. In a mansion. The man's name is Mr. Adrian Cole. He bought the oranges. He wants to talk to you. Mama pressed her hand to her mouth. Lila heard a small sound that might have been a laugh or a cry or both at the same time. Mr. Cole, she whispered, like the name was a piece of glass you had to hold carefully. Will you come? Lila asked. Please? You can say no. They said you can say no. But I think you should see the picture. Give me 1 minute, Mama said softly. Tell the men I will come. The screen went dark. Lila's knees suddenly felt like noodles. She sat on the soft bench and pressed her hands together so hard her knuckles turned pale. Adrian didn't speak. He just stood very still and watched the door like people watch the sky when they think rain is coming at last. The minutes clicked in the quiet house. The cookie on the tray cooled. The fountain sang. The red light over the archive door kept blinking, patient as a heartbeat. Lila thought of something and looked up. Sir? Adrian blinked and glanced at her. Are you angry with my mom? He looked surprised. Angry? Because she didn't tell me about this place, Lila said. Or about the blue dress. Adrian's face softened around the eyes. I could never be angry with your mother, he said. Then he added the word that made Lila's heart flicker. Not again. Tires whispered on the driveway. The silver gate hummed. Mason's voice came through the speaker. Arriving now. Adrian straightened his shoulders and smoothed his sleeves. He looked scared and brave at the same time. Lila stood up. She tucked her shirt into her skirt the way Mama taught her when they needed to show respect. The front door opened. Mama Sophia stepped inside. Her scarf had been tied neatly, but now a few curls had slipped free. Her eyes were big and bright and wet around the edges. She wore her best clean blouse even though it was a little loose from all the weeks of coughing and not eating enough. She saw Lila first and pulled her into a hug so tight that Lila could feel her heartbeat through the thin cloth. My star, Mama whispered. My brave girl. Then she looked up and saw Adrian. Her breath stopped. His name slipped out of her mouth without her meaning to say it, the way you say, ouch, when you touch a hot pan. Adrian. Adrian took one step. Sophia. The room held its breath with them. The hidden door's red light blinked once, twice, 3 times, and then turned green. The alarm echoed through the mansion like a giant metal heartbeat. Sure. Loud. Warning. Lila covered her ears. Mama Sophia grabbed her by the shoulders and held her close. Adrian spun toward the staircase, confusion and fear pulling tight across his face. Mason rushed in from outside. Sir. Sensors in the archive triggered. Door opened without manual approval. Adrian shook his head. I didn't open it. Sophia whispered, I didn't either. But the hidden door was standing wide open. The lights inside were bright. And the white box, the one that said for SR, if you ever come back, was pushed forward like invisible hands had placed it there on purpose. The alarm stopped as suddenly as it had begun. A silence followed, heavy, deep, the kind of silence that wraps itself around the room and waits. Sophia's hand trembled in Lila's hair. Adrian stepped toward the archive entrance slowly, like a man approaching a memory he wasn't sure he was ready for. His voice was low. Mason, stand by the door. Don't let anyone else in. Yes, sir. Lila peeked out from behind her mother. Mama? What's happening? Sophia drew a shaky breath. I don't know, mi estrella. But she did know something. Lila felt it. A truth heavy enough to bend a person's back. Adrian turned to Sophia. This box. I made it 10 years ago. The day you left. The day I thought. His voice cracked. I thought I'd never see you again. Sophia didn't answer. She couldn't. Her eyes were locked on the white box like it was a living thing, whispering all the secrets she'd kept buried. The box opens. Adrian slowly lifted the lid. Inside was a small stack of items wrapped in tissue paper. Very soft, very clean, completely untouched. One by one he lifted them gently. A blue dress ribbon tucked neatly, tied into a small bow. Lila had never seen Mama wear bows, ever. A folded letter, its edges were crisp, never opened. A silver ring, the same one from the photo. The same one from Mama's drawer. A tiny white envelope sealed with wax. On the front, "For our child." Lila gasped. Our child? Her eyes went wide and she pressed her tiny hand to her chest. Sophia froze. Adrian looked at her, not blinking. He whispered, "I didn't know you were pregnant." Sophia's knees almost buckled. She gripped the edge of the nearest table. "Adrian, I left so you would never have to know." "Why?" His voice was raw, cracked. "Why would you keep that from me?" "Because your mother told me to." Sophia whispered the words like they hurt her tongue. "And I believed her." Adrian stepped back like he'd been hit. His chest rose and fell fast. My mother?" he said. She threatened you?" Sophia nodded. Tears slid down her cheeks. "She said you didn't want a child. That you'd send me away. That you'd take the baby from me." Adrian shook his head over and over. "No, never. I would have married you that same week. I would have kept you safe. I would have given everything." Sophia sobbed softly. Her shoulders trembled. "I was young, scared, alone. I believed her. I shouldn't have, but I did." Lila squeezed her mother's hand. "Mama?" Sophia knelt and held Lila's face between her palms. "Mi estrella. I wanted to keep you safe. Every single day." Adrian stood frozen, staring at the ring. At Sophia. At Lila. Slowly he whispered, "Sophia, is Lila my daughter?" The room shrank. The world shrank. Lila felt like the air had been sucked from her lungs. Sophia didn't answer. Tears filled her eyes. But her silence, her shaking breath, her trembling hands, they were an answer. And Adrian understood. The truth grows heavy. Mason stepped just a little closer, as if ready to help if anything went wrong. Miss Hale peeked from the hallway, worry on her face. Adrian ran a hand through his hair and stared at Lila like seeing her for the first time. Everything he said next came from deep inside him, from a place that had been locked away for years. "Sophia, all this time, you raised her alone." His voice softened. "You did everything by yourself." Sophia wiped her face. "I did what I could. You shouldn't have had to." "I know." Adrian looked at the letter in his hand, the one he wrote 10 years ago. His hand shook. "This letter?" he whispered. "I wrote it the night you left. I sat on the floor right where you're standing now. I waited. I prayed you'd come back. Even once. Even to say goodbye." He held it out to her. Sophia hesitated, then took it. Her fingers shook as she unfolded the paper. Her eyes moved line by line. Her breath hitched. Over and over. She covered her mouth. "Mama?" Lila whispered. Sophia's tears fell onto the letter and left tiny dark dots on the page. She pressed it to her chest. He didn't know anything. He thought I left because I didn't love him." Adrian's voice broke. "But you did love me." Sophia nodded slowly. "Yes, I did." "And I loved you," Adrian whispered. "Every day. 10 years." Sophia closed her eyes, pain washing across her face. "I should have told you. I should have fought harder." "No," Adrian said softly, taking one step closer. "You were protecting Lila. You were protecting yourself. You were doing what you thought was right." His voice grew gentler. "You survived without me. You raised a brilliant, brave daughter. I will never judge you for the choices you made. Never." Sophia finally looked up, tears shining. "Adrian?" But before she could say more, the alarm blared again, this time sharper, louder, urgent. Mason's hand flew to his earpiece. "Sir, we have movement on the upper floor, East Wing." Adrian's eyes narrowed. "Who's in the East Wing?" "No one," Mason said. "No one is allowed there." The mansion lights flickered. A soft creak echoed from upstairs. Then a long, slow shadow moved across the top landing. Lila grabbed her mother's arm. Sophia pulled her close. Adrian stepped forward, protective, fierce, ready. "Stay behind me," he said. The shadow paused at the railing. A familiar voice floated down the staircase. "Come, Cole." Unmistakable. "Adrian," the voice said. "I didn't expect to find you opening old wounds." Sophia's breath turned to ice. Lila's heart thudded. Adrian's face hardened. Because standing at the top of the grand staircase, in a long black dress, holding a cane, was Adrian Cole, Adrian's mother. The woman Sophia had been forced to fear 10 years ago. She smirked, not at Adrian. Not at Sophia. Not at Lila. But at the white box in Adrian's hands. "Oh dear," she said softly. "So you finally found it." Adrian Cole descended the staircase slowly, each step echoing like a drum in the giant hall. Her cane tapped the marble. Tap, tap, tap. Her hair was pinned neatly, not a strand out of place. Her necklace glimmered like tiny icicles. Her eyes, sharp, cold, knowing, moved from Adrian to Sophia, then rested on Lila. That stare made Lila feel tiny. Sophia pulled Lila closer. Her arms tightened as if to say, "Don't worry. I'm here." Adrian stepped in front of them both. "Mother," he said, voice flat. Catherine smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile. It was the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. "I heard the alarm," she said. Imagine my surprise when I realized which room had been opened. Her gaze slid to the secret archive, the blinking green light, the white box. Sophia trembled. Adrian lifted the box a little. "Why did you hide this?" Catherine raised an eyebrow. "Because it was necessary." "No," Adrian's voice grew harder. "You kept it from me." "Of course I did," she replied calmly. "Because you were being foolish." Adrian clenched his jaw. Loving her was not foolish. Catherine's smile thinned. Loving her was not the problem. She turned to Sophia. "You running away was." Sophia flinched. Lila felt her mother's hand shaking. She squeezed it tight. Catherine glanced at Lila, examining her face, her hair, her eyes like she was inspecting something on a shelf. "So this is the child," she said. Lila pressed her face against Sophia's side. "Don't talk about her like that," Adrian snapped. "She's a person. She's your daughter." Catherine finished the sentence for him. "Yes. I figured that out long before you did." Sophia's eyes widened. You knew?" Catherine gave her a cool look. "Of course I knew. You were 3 months pregnant when you left. Did you truly think you could hide that?" Sophia's knees nearly gave out. She grabbed the edge of the table to steady herself. "Why didn't you tell me?" Adrian demanded. Catherine waved her hand like brushing away dust. "Because that child would have destroyed your future." Lila's stomach twisted. "I'm not destroying anything," she whispered. Catherine looked down at her. "I didn't say you were. I said you could have." "That's enough," Adrian said firmly. "I won't let you talk to her that way." Catherine's eyes flashed. "You always were too soft." "No," Adrian said, stepping closer to his mother. "I just have a heart. Something you traded for power a long time ago." Catherine's expression tightened. But only for a second. The box that changed everything. Adrian held up the letter Sophia had read. "You told her I didn't want the baby. That I didn't want her." "I told her," Catherine said slowly, "what she needed to hear." "No," Adrian said. "You lied." Sophia stepped forward, voice trembling. You told me Adrian would send me away. That he didn't love me. That the child," she looked at Lila, then back at Catherine. "That this child would ruin his life." Catherine didn't blink. "I said what had to be said." "Why?" Sophia cried. "Why would you do that to us?" Catherine sighed. "Because Adrian was young. Foolish. Reckless. And you," she looked Sophia up and down, "were from a life he did not belong in." Sophia's face went pale. "You thought I wasn't good enough," she whispered. Catherine responded calmly, "You still are not." Lila felt her mother's body stiffen, but she didn't cry. She stood straighter, angrier. Adrian turned on his mother. "Enough." But Catherine was not finished. She pointed at the silver ring sitting in the box. "Do you know what that ring was, Sophia?" Sophia shook her head. "That," Catherine said, "was an engagement ring." Sophia gasped. Lila's mouth fell open. Adrian froze. "You bought that for me?" Sophia whispered. "I did," Adrian said softly. "The day before you disappeared." Catherine's cane tapped once, sharp. "And that," she said, "was exactly why I burned the first set of photographs and hid the second. Why I sent you away. Why I made sure you believed he didn't want you." Sophia choked. "You wanted to stop the wedding?" "Yes," Catherine said simply. "I wanted to stop my son from throwing his life into chaos." Lila stepped in front of her mother, tiny fists balled. "Mama is not chaos. She's good. She works hard. She loves me." Catherine studied the brave little girl in front of her. Something, very small, softened in her eyes. But it vanished as quickly as it appeared. A past of fear. Adrian took a deep breath. "Mother," he said, calmer now but colder, "you told me she left because she didn't love me. You said she took advantage of me. You said she used me." Catherine nodded. "And you believed me. Which tells you how easily you were fooled." "I was fooled because I trusted you," Adrian whispered. "I trusted my own mother." For the first time Catherine looked shaken. But she covered it quickly. You would have given up everything, she insisted. Your future. Your power. Your inheritance. All for love. Adrian finished. Catherine tightened her grip on her cane. For a girl with nothing, she snapped. A girl who had no family, no money, no name? I didn't need her to have any of that, Adrian said. I loved her. Sophia's breath hitched. Catherine pointed the silver tip of her cane at the archive door. That room holds everything I tried to erase. Your foolishness. Your mistakes. Your softness. You're wrong, Adrian said. That room holds my future. Not my mistakes. He turned to Sophia. I loved you then, he said gently. I still love you now. Sophia covered her mouth, tears flowing. Lila felt something warm bloom in her chest. Oh, bright and huge. Catherine saw their closeness and her voice turned sharp. Adrian, think carefully. This woman ran away. She hid your child from you. She chose poverty over you. She was scared. Adrian shouted. The chandelier trembled. Sophia stepped back, shaking. Adrian took a breath, calmer now. She was threatened. Manipulated. By you. Catherine didn't deny it. She only said, everything I did was to protect the family. No, Adrian said. You did it to control it. A long silence filled the room. The kind that pulls between people like a rope ready to snap. But then, a soft, unexpected sound broke it. Lila's stomach growled. Loud. Very loud. The room went still. Then, unbelievably, Catherine's lips twitched. A tiny, tiny smile. You haven't eaten, she said. It wasn't warm. It wasn't sweet. But it wasn't cruel either. Adrian gently placed a hand on Lila's shoulder. Come. Let's sit. But Lila's eyes stayed on Catherine. You scared my mom, she said quietly. Catherine lifted her chin. Yes, I did. You hurt her, Lila continued. You made her cry. You made her hide me. Catherine didn't respond. But, Lila took a breath. Mamas cry when they're scared. Mamas hide things to keep kids safe. You made her scared of you. But I'm not scared. Catherine blinked, slowly, like she hadn't expected that. You're not scared of me? Lila shook her head. No. Because Mama loves me. And if she loves me, someone else will love me too. Adrian looked at Lila, eyes shining. Sophia gently touched Lila's cheek. Catherine's shoulders rose and fell. For a second, a very tiny second, she looked tired. Not angry. Not cold. Just tired. She turned to leave. Mason, she said. Have the doctor prepare a room. Adrian frowned. For whom? Catherine paused at the foot of the stairs. For Sophia, she said. Her cough. I heard it on the screen. Sophia's eyes widened. I don't hate her, Catherine added quietly. I just didn't trust her with you. She looked at Lila. And I do not hate the child. Lila blinked. Then, do you like me? Catherine hesitated. No, she said honestly. But I do not dislike you either. Lila frowned. So, half. Catherine considered. Perhaps. And before anyone could speak again, a crash echoed from the upper floor. A man's scream followed. Mason's hand flew to his earpiece. Sir. There's a breach. Someone entered the east wing. Adrian spun. Security lockdown, now. Lights flashed red. Doors sealed. Catherine turned sharply, cane raised. Sophia grabbed Lila. Mason pulled out a device. In the chaos, Lila looked up at Adrian. What's in the east wing? Adrian answered with a voice tight as a bowstring. Something even my mother couldn't control. Red lights flashed along the ceiling. A loud metallic clang echoed through the mansion as heavy security doors slid into place. Lila grabbed Sophia's hand. Sophia pulled her close. Adrian stepped in front of both of them, jaw tight, eyes sharp. Mason pressed his earpiece harder. Sir, sensors triggered in the east wing corridor. Someone forced entry. Forced. Not opened. Not glitched. Forced. Even Catherine froze. Her fingers tightened around her cane until her knuckles turned pale. Lila swallowed. What's inside the east wing? Adrian hesitated only a second. Everything my mother tried to hide, he said quietly. Catherine snapped her head toward him. Adrian, don't. But Adrian continued. Everything she never wanted Sophia to see. Or me to know. Another crash thundered above them. Sophia trembled. Are we in danger? Mason stepped closer. Ma'am, stay behind me. We don't know yet. Catherine's cold voice cut through the noise. Security cameras? Offline, Mason said. Someone jammed them. Who could do that? Sophia whispered. Adrian answered softly. Someone who knows this house better than anyone. Catherine looked up the stairs, her expression tightening. Adrian, this isn't the time. We must secure the child. But Lila tugged on her mother's sleeve, whispering, Mama, why does she keep looking at the stairs? Who's up there? Sophia didn't answer. She couldn't. Because Catherine's eyes gave away something she had not planned to reveal. Fear. Not of an intruder. Not of danger. Not even of the secrets unraveling. But fear of someone familiar. Someone she did not expect to return. And then, a voice drifted down from the top of the staircase. A voice that made Catherine go still. A voice that made Adrian pale. A voice that made Sophia's heart jump. Is this how you greet family? The voice said softly. A man stepped out of the shadows. Tall. Dark hair slightly messy. Eyes the same shape as Adrian's, but sharper, colder. He wore a dark coat dusted with travel dirt. And in his right hand, he held a thin metal device with blinking lights, the same kind used to jam security systems. Lila whispered, Who is he? Adrian's voice came out low. My brother. A brother Lila never knew existed. The man descended the staircase slowly, eyes scanning the room with the calmness of someone used to danger. Catherine gripped her cane harder. Elias, she said tightly. You weren't expected home. Clearly, Elias replied. He glanced at the alarms, the red lights, the sealed doors. I leave for 2 years, he said, and the moment I return, the house is screaming. Adrian stepped forward. You jammed the cameras. Elias shrugged. Old habit. You broke into a restricted wing, Adrian added. Elias's eyes flicked to the open archive door. Then to the white box. Then to Sophia and Lila. Well, he said quietly. It seems I returned at a very interesting moment. Catherine's voice snapped sharper than glass. You were supposed to stay abroad. And you were supposed to keep your promises, Elias said coolly. Catherine froze. But Elias didn't look at her again. His gaze landed on Lila. The girl stepped back slightly, holding Sophia's hand tighter. Elias bent down a little, not too close, just enough so his eyes met hers. So you're the child? He said softly. Lila felt her mother stiffen. Adrian stepped in front of them. Don't. To her. Elias straightened, amused. Overprotective as always. Sophia stepped in front of Lila, shielding her. Who are you? She asked. Elias smiled politely. Elias Cole. Adrian's older brother. Older? Lila whispered. Adrian nodded once. By 3 years. Elias tilted his head. But you always forget. Adrian ignored that. Why are you here? Because, Elias said as he stepped toward the white box, I came to take what's mine. Catherine took a sharp step forward. Elias, stop. But Elias picked up the silver ring, the same ring Adrian had bought for Sophia 10 years ago. The same ring Sophia kept hidden in a sock in her drawer. Elias examined it carefully. A family heirloom, he murmured. Supposed to pass to the firstborn. Adrian's eyes narrowed. I bought that ring. With family money, Catherine said quietly. Sophia's heart dropped. That ring, Elias whispered, was never meant for you, little brother. And yet, Adrian said, stepping forward, I gave it to the woman I love. Sophia's breath caught. Elias's jaw tightened at that. Love? He repeated. Love is weakness. You proved that 10 years ago. Adrian's fists clenched. Don't talk about her. Why? Elias asked calmly. Because she ran away? Because she hid your child from you? It wasn't her fault. Adrian snapped. Oh, I know, Elias said softly. It was Mother's. Catherine stiffened. Sophia whispered, You knew? Of course, Elias replied smoothly. I knew everything. I watched her chase you away, Sophia. I watched her destroy Adrian's heart. And I did nothing. His expression hardened. Because I wanted the company. The inheritance. Everything Adrian would have given up for you. Sophia gasped. Lila's hand flew to her mouth. Adrian's face twisted with shock and betrayal. You let me suffer? Elias nodded once. Yes. And you didn't care. No, Elias said simply. I didn't. Silence. Thick and cold. Sophia whispered, Then, why are you here now? Elias looked down at the ring again. Then at Lila. Then at Adrian. Then at Catherine. Because, he said finally, this little girl changes everything. Catherine's cane slipped in her hand. Adrian stepped protectively between Elias and Lila. If you touch her. Oh, stop, Elias interrupted. I'm not here to hurt her. He crouched to Lila's level again, but this time he stayed farther away, respectful. He softened his voice. You don't know me. I don't expect you to trust me. But I know exactly who you are. Lila blinked. Who am I? Elias smiled, not the cold smile Catherine had. This one was sad. Tired. You, Elias said quietly, are the rightful heir. Everyone froze. Catherine's face drained of color. Adrian's breath caught. Sophia grabbed Lila's shoulders. What do you mean? Elias stood slowly. He held up the silver ring. This ring, he said, was passed down to the first child of every Cole generation. But Adrian bought it, for a woman he loved. His eyes slid to Sophia. And for the child he didn't know he had. Sophia's knees wobbled. No, that can't be. It can, Elias said, and it is. He looked straight at Adrian. You didn't know you had a daughter. But mother did. Catherine's eyes widened. Elias continued. And by law, Lila is the primary heir to the Cole estate. Catherine dropped her cane. It clattered on the marble floor like thunder. Lila gasped. I don't want an estate. I don't even know what that is. Elias nodded gently. And that is exactly why you deserve it. Sophia shook her head. No, please. We don't want trouble. This isn't trouble, Elias said. This is truth. Adrian stepped forward, panic rising. Elias, stop. You know what this means. Oh yes, Elias said. It means our mother's plans are over. Catherine whispered, Elias, don't you dare. It means, Elias added, that everything she did to keep Adrian from choosing love. He pointed at Lila. Was pointless. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. Lila looked up at Adrian, confused. Does that mean you're really my dad? Adrian knelt down slowly. He took Lila's small hand in both of his. His voice shook. Yes, he whispered. I think I am. Lila's lip trembled. Adrian's eyes filled with tears. Then, a glass shattered upstairs. A second scream followed. Mason spun toward the staircase. Sir, someone else is in the east wing. We're not alone. The lights flickered violently. Catherine gasped. Elias's expression changed instantly. Not cold. Not smug. Not calm. But afraid. Adrian, he said quietly. We have a bigger problem. What? Adrian demanded. Elias swallowed hard. The East Wing, it doesn't just store old documents. He stepped closer. It stores Father's final files. Adrian froze. Catherine stared in horror. Sophia whispered, Father? He's gone, isn't he? Elias nodded once. Yes. And someone just opened the files he died protecting. Lila felt her heart pound. Who? She whispered. Elias turned toward the dark hallway above. And his voice came out like a warning. The person who destroyed our family once before. The mansion's lights flickered again, once, twice, then steadied into a dim red glow. Shadows stretched along the walls like they were alive. Lila clung to Sophia. Sophia held her so tight she could feel her heartbeat. Adrian stood protectively in front of them, breathing hard, eyes locked on the dark staircase leading to the east wing. Elias stepped beside him. For the first time since he appeared, he looked truly tense. Sophia whispered, Adrian, who's up there? Who did this? Adrian didn't answer right away. He looked at Catherine. At the fear in her eyes. At the way she held her breath. Mother, he said quietly, you know who's in the east wing, don't you? Catherine swallowed. I hoped I was wrong. Say it, Elias demanded. Enough secrets. Catherine's fingers shook on her cane. Her voice was hardly a breath. It's your father's partner. Sophia blinked. Partner? But you said, Adrian told me he passed away. He did, Catherine whispered. But before he died he made a mistake. He trusted the wrong man. A man who wanted the company. The inheritance. The power. Elias stiffened. Don't tell me. Catherine closed her eyes. Yes, she whispered. He's alive. Lila's voice came out tiny. Who is he? Catherine's eyes opened slowly. His name is Victor Hale. Sophia froze. Miss Hale? She whispered, remembering the gentlewoman earlier, the nurse, the helper. No, Catherine said. Her father. Mason's radio crackled. Security breach confirmed. A male intruder is heading toward the central stairs. Adrian's breath caught. Victor was my father's closest friend, he explained quickly. He helped build this company. But he wanted more. He tried to take everything. Elias added, when our father found out, Victor fled. We thought he died in a crash. Catherine shook her head. It was staged. He hid. And he's come back for the files. The ones in the East Wing. The ones your father locked away before he died. What's in the files? Sophia asked. Catherine's eyes glistened. Proof, she whispered. Proof that Victor stole millions. Proof that he tried to frame my husband. Proof that he threatened our family. Lila held Sophia tighter. Adrian's voice rose, cold and sharp. He's here because he wants to erase the evidence. And anyone who can use it against him, Elias added. Lila's heart dropped. Are we in danger? Everyone froze. Even Catherine. Then Adrian answered with total honesty. Yes. Footsteps in the dark. Slow, heavy footsteps echoed down the East Wing hallway. One step. Another. Another. Catherine gripped her cane like a weapon. Elias pulled a small black device from his coat, something that looked like a signal jammer or miniature taser. Mason stood ready. The footsteps reached the top of the stairs. A tall man appeared. Hair graying. Eyes sharp. Face worn from years of hiding. Victor Hale. He smiled slowly. A smile that knew secrets. A smile that knew fear. His voice was smooth, deep, and cold. Adrian. Elias. What a beautiful family reunion. Adrian stepped forward. Victor. Victor's eyes slid to Sophia. Then to Lila. He paused. And his smirk widened. Well, he whispered. That explains a lot. Sophia pulled Lila behind her. Victor chuckled. Relax. I don't hurt children. I merely rearrange lives. Catherine stepped forward, jaw tight. You poisoned this family. You destroyed my marriage. You tried to take everything. Victor raised an eyebrow. And you were so easy to manipulate. Catherine's eyes flashed. Victor continued, you didn't want your son with a girl from the wrong side of town. You didn't want him giving up the empire. So when I whispered lies into your ear. Adrian's chest tightened. Wait, what? Victor smirked. Yes. She didn't come up with the lies alone. I helped plant them. Catherine's knees shook. I didn't know. You believed what you wanted to believe, Victor said. Sophia felt tears prick her eyes. Lila whispered, Mama, what does he mean? Sophia hugged her tight. He tricked everyone, mi estrella. Victor turned and looked directly at Lila. You must be Lila, he said softly. Lila hid her face. Adrian stepped between them. Stay away from her. Victor laughed. Relax, Adrian. I'm here for the files. And you're not getting them, Elias said. Victor clicked his tongue. On the contrary. He pulled a small remote from his coat, pressed a button, and the entire East Wing burst into flames. Fire, fear, and truth. Everyone out. Mason shouted. Flames rolled down the hallway, consuming curtains, rugs, and memories. The heat hit them instantly. Victor stumbled back as smoke swallowed the ceiling. This place dies with me, he hissed. And so does the evidence. Adrian grabbed Lila. Elias grabbed Sophia. They ran as flames chased them across the marble floors. The fire alarm shrieked. Sprinklers burst open. Water rained down. Victor slipped. His remote clattered across the floor. Catherine stood frozen, coughing. Mother. Adrian shouted. Elias dragged her toward the exit just as a flaming beam crashed where she'd been standing. Smoke filled the air. Sophia's cough worsened. Lila cried into Adrian's shoulder. Mason lunged forward, tackling Victor to the ground. They struggled. Victor clawed toward the fallen files. Mason wrenched him back. Adrian pushed through the smoke, holding Lila tight. Stay with me, he shouted. Sophia stumbled, coughing violently. I can't. Adrian grabbed her arm with his free hand. Yes, you can. Elias grabbed Catherine. Mason dragged Victor. The house shook. Glass shattered. Walls cracked. A chandelier fell behind them with a deafening crash. But they made it outside. Just as the East Wing collapsed. Outside, sirens screamed. Fire trucks lined the street. Paramedics rushed forward. Sophia collapsed to her knees, coughing uncontrollably. Mama? Lila cried. A doctor rushed to her. Get oxygen, now. Adrian knelt beside Sophia, holding her hand with trembling fingers. Sophia, stay with me, he whispered. Her eyelids fluttered. I'm okay, she whispered weakly. Just smoke. Adrian's tears spilled over. He pressed his forehead to her hand. I almost lost you again, he said. I can't lose you. Not now. Not ever. Sophia smiled faintly. You found me. Lila climbed into Sophia's arms. Don't leave, Mama. Please. Sophia kissed her forehead. Never, mi estrella. Behind them, police pulled Victor Hale into a car. Elias watched him with cold satisfaction. Catherine stood trembling, not injured but shaken to her core. A police officer approached Adrian. We recovered a partial file before the fire reached it. Enough to fully charge Victor Hale. Adrian nodded, barely hearing him. His world was Sophia. His world was Lila. Everything else could burn. Sophia looked up at him, eyes soft. You still love me? She whispered. Adrian's answer was instant, certain, and full of a decade of lost years. I never stopped. Lila placed their hands together. Then, can we be a real family now? She asked. Adrian pulled them both into a trembling, tearful embrace. Yes, he whispered. A real family. Forever. Catherine watched them quietly. For the first time in her life, she looked small, and fragile, and human. She stepped forward slowly. Sophia stiffened. Lila hid behind her arm. But Catherine knelt, slowly, painfully, beside them. I was wrong, she whispered. I hurt you. All of you. I let fear guide me instead of love. I'm sorry. The wind carried the word away softly. Sorry. A word she had never said before. Sophia stared at her. Then nodded. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But a door opening just a little. Catherine looked at Lila. You are brave, she said. And you have your father's heart. Adrian held Sophia and Lila close. We start fresh, he said. No more secrets. No more fear. Only love. The fire behind them crackled. The mansion that held a decade of pain finally fell quiet. But something new began there on the lawn. Something bright, fragile, and full of hope. A family. Together. At last.